Meet Khaled Alotaibi, a master of blending nature and art through the creation of intricate terrariums. With a rich multicultural background, having lived in 6 different countries, and a deep appreciation for Japanese culture gained during his years of study and work in Tokyo, Khaled brings a unique perspective to his craft. A graduate with a master's degree in information and communication studies from Tokai University, his meticulous attention to detail and creative vision are reflected in every terrarium he designs. Khaled Alotaibi, a storyteller of nature, crafting miniature worlds that inspire tranquility and wonder.
We are back to our show again, Beyond the Craft, and we are in the workshop with our distinguished guest. So let's welcome all of us. Khaled Alotaibi, the terrarium maker. Hello and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for the great hospitality. Today we are in your workshop. We saw the tools and the designs and the bottles and too many different plants, cactus and the others.
Yes.
So, but we are very curious to know about the beginning all the time.
Yes.
So when did you start to go into terrarium?
Yes. So this passion was kind of built in 2021.
Okay.
That is when we found our passion in terrariums during lockdown. It was a time where people were trying new things.
Okay.
And we found ourselves loving, we started building terrariums and our love for nature as well.
Nice.
And it's a passion that grew into something that we want to share with the public here in Kuwait through our workshops and so on.
And the designs and even
Yes.
etc.
Yes.
So how do you see the family support for your artwork and for your profession?
Yes. So with us, it's our family is everything, because like our family comes from a diplomatic background.
Okay.
And what that does is it brought us a lot of creativity into our craft. With terrariums, you can do a lot of things when it comes to creativity. So you have that creative aspect or that culture aspect that you have gained from different countries as well that you can put in your terrarium artwork. So it's an artistic kind of craft, but you also have to think that of the plants as well. So it has to be creative and realistic.
At the same time, because the result is more amazing. We can say.
Yes.
So you mention all the time us. It means you and you're also brother.
Yes.
So who thought first about terrarium?
Yes. So it was actually my brother.
Okay.
He was the mastermind behind this.
Okay.
He was the one who started this journey, and I kind of seeing him crafting the terrariums, I kind of also fell in love with it. And a lot of his projects were very creative, and he would bring it to us. One of his projects involved a waterfall.
Nice.
It was a very, I remember I helped him with it as well. It was a very complicated project because he had to use large rocks in comparison to smaller rocks, and also a handmade waterfall as well.
So all together.
Yes, when he put it all together, obviously it was very complicated. We had to scratch some things out.
And you figure something, you solve something.
Yes,
nice.
but when it all came together, it was something beautiful, and this is what motivates us to keep on creating.
This is the project that you are now into terrarium?
Yes, that project in particular, when I think back of all the projects that we have created, that project really kind of grasped me into
click into
the profession of building terrariums.
Before you are into the terrarium and you saw your brother always working with it.
Yes.
Did you thought that once maybe in the future you'll be working with him, or you just like, oh, he's doing some hobbies, I will do another thing?
Yes. So at first it's because when I first saw him doing it, I thought it was very complicated, to be honest. I thought building a terrarium involved a lot of things.
And he brought with bottles, and he go with the plants, and you're just watching him.
I'm just watching him, but I always see him working, in the garage and
in the workshop.
In the workshop, and that's when I kind of, I was like, let me give this a try, and that's when I found also my passion in this related
And
field.
because you are a different background, we are in the off air where we spoke. You have a master degree also in engineering and
Yes.
communication,
Mm.
and you are into different financial and different kind of
Yes.
business economy, and you do something by your hand.
Yes.
How does it feel when you do something by your own? It feels like you are in this world and you are feeling like we call it a therapy.
Yes. So, when you're studying, when you're doing a lot of things, it's very stressful. And when you kind of create an art craft like terrariums, it's a therapeutic session, and it makes you relax. And we see this during a lot of our workshops as well. We see a lot of comments of people that were involved in the workshops. They would tell us, "Wow, this is very relaxing." Once you hold the soil yourself, when you hold the plants, you choose which plant to use, and adding in the water. It's like building a project. Yes, and it's one thing to have an idea or an image in your head, but it's also another thing to see it in front of your eyes.
So we will talk about the courses and the workshop later.
Yes.
We elaborate about it.
Okay.
First of all, this kind of designs, the stones, the way you are
Yes.
creating, it goes from the east of Asia.
Yeah.
So for sure, you got it from when you studied in Japan.
Yes. And yes, sorry to cut you up, but yeah, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of terrariums. It's anything that you can imagine. You can put it into your design of your terrarium.
So you've been studying in Japan for a long time, and you got your masters there. So how was the studying in Japan and the culture of the people inspired you for your profession?
Yeah. So in Japan, I learned a lot of things from the Japanese people. I learned a lot of things from the Japanese culture, and even with the Japanese culture, it dates back to very historic roots, to samurai roots as well. And the thing is, with the Japanese people, they're very patient.
Very patient.
Very patient. And it's that kind of also involves patience is a huge key to have when you're building like an art craft, like terrarium.
So it's like a huge skill.
Yes.
You have to be patient.
You have to be patient. With any artwork, you have to be patient, and in particular with terrariums as well, you have to also be patient.
Sure, you've been in Japan in too many different cities. You attend too many different events and exhibitions like for terrarium and others. How do you see the Japanese people? They are into art?
Oh yes, the Japanese people they love art. Obviously, I could talk about this in depth.
In several.
There are two types of, or I would say a lot of types of Japanese people.
Okay.
There's one type is the society people.
Okay.
The society people is the type of people that would work from 9 to 6 jobs.
Nice.
But then you have another type of people. I would call them the newer generation.
Okay.
They're into art,
Okay.
and you can see that today with Japan. If you go to a lot of areas like in Shibuya and stuff like that, you can see a lot of the youth. They're very creative in the way they dress and the activities they participate in.
Nice.
And I got introduced to a lot of my friends that are now building their own brands as well, and I think that's also happening here in Kuwait.
The same.
At the same time, yeah.
Because the youth they're following their own things, they follow instinct, they go for their hobbies as well.
Yes.
I know like some word of the Japanese relate to the art,
Yes.
especially for the terrarium. How can you pronounce it in Japanese?
Terrarium?
Yes,
Terrarium.
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 Yeah.
As they are built in their culture, because if you go to any museum in any street, you will see terrarium everywhere.
Yeah. And the thing is with Japan as well, it's with the culture of Japan. If you go as well to the shrines or the temples, if you're very, you have to when you're in Japan, you have to see the culture, and part of that culture is the shrines and the temples, and then if you outside of these shrines and the temples on the side, you could see the bonsais, the bonsai trees and the rocks, the way they put it in a certain pattern as well, and that kind of correlates to the way that you build terrariums as well.
And even in the parks, there are parks
In
also.
the parks as well, yes, you see a lot of patterns with the rocks, you have
Different kind of ones.
different kind of parks. But most of the parks they have that type of pattern in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after you finish your master's degree, you came back to the state of Kuwait, and
Yes.
then you work in the terrarium with
Yes.
your brother.
Yeah.
So time by time during the pandemic, now we are in 3 years, we are in 2024. So 3 years you are doing with them. So what is the challenge when you're doing in a terrarium? I know
Yeah.
you're facing challenge maybe in the financial way, maybe in the time, maybe for the tools. What is your challenge?
Yeah, so obviously the first years we had that image of having something, building something and bring it back to Kuwait. The first year I would say it was just us building it, creating the craft and learning about it. However, the challenges I would say it's getting to people know more of the terrariums about it, and it's not difficult to build.
Okay.
Like once you participate in events and so on, and you can see that it's not too difficult to build.
So once you are participating in certain events and exhibitions, you put in your small tiny table, this kind of an amazing
Yes.
bottles with different colors. How do you see the demand of the visitors for your table?
Yeah, so the thing is, we see it with a lot of people. Like a lot of people after the events, they would ask us, when is the next event?
What is the
Yeah, and a lot of people, because the thing is, a lot of people would tell us this is very relaxing. It's helping us, and they enjoy it. Once you get a hold of the soil and the plants and so on, it's really it's a nice experience.
And what is about their common questions all the time when they look to your table and you?
The common questions, obviously, it's because a lot of people that participate, they have never built a terrarium, and a lot of the questions they ask, it's expected. So for example, are the rocks enough? How much water should we add? How do we separate the plants?
Nice.
And how much of the carbon should we add as well? And why are we using it, and so on. These questions, which is totally understandable, and it's always nice to know that you're helping.
Nice.
Even if the question is repetitive, it's always nice, when.
So now it's to repeat again.
Yeah.
That's why now I am very curious to know after the break about the tools. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yes. Let's go.
Always ready. So dear viewers, let's go to this tiny break that will continue your show Beyond the Craft with our distinguished guest Khalid Al-Ataibi. So stay tuned.
The art of making terrariums is a perfect fusion of nature, creativity, and craftsmanship. It begins with a simple glass container, an empty vessel waiting to be transformed into a miniature world. Layer by layer, the magic unfolds. A foundation of stones and charcoal ensures drainage and filters the air, setting the stage for vibrant life to flourish. Above this, nutrient-rich soil becomes the canvas for carefully chosen plants, each selected for its ability to thrive in a confined ecosystem. Terrarium making is both science and art. It requires an understanding of balance, how light, moisture, and air circulation interact within the enclosed space. Mosses, ferns, succulents, and even tiny trees can find a home here, each plant playing its role in creating a harmonious environment. But it's also about storytelling, as every terrarium reflects the maker's vision. Some evoke tranquil forests, others vibrant deserts, and some are whimsical landscapes straight out of imagination. The beauty of terrariums lies in their accessibility. Whether you're a seasoned horticulturist or a beginner, the process invites mindfulness and connection to nature. The end result is more than just decor. It's a living piece of art, a self-sustaining ecosystem that brings the serenity of the outdoors into any indoor space. Terrariums are a celebration of life's small wonders, reminding us of the beauty in the details and the joy of nurturing something alive. They're not just plants in a jar, they're tiny worlds filled with endless possibilities.
We are still in our show Beyond the Craft with our distinguished guest Khalid Al-Ataibi. Khalid, before we spoke about your journey. Now we'll talk more about the tools, more technical.
Yes.
First of all, I noticed, like, thank you for brought us your tools, shelves, and the other kind of tools. You can see the viewers throwing the camera. This kind of tools, it's not just only these tools. You have different kind of tools, right?
Yes, yes. We use brushes as well.
Brushes also.
Yeah.
Okay. So even when I sewing the tools also, you can make it longer.
Yes.
So it's easier for you. It will be easier, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What about the other tools?
So, for example, this tool, basically with terrariums, with our terrariums, we use gardening tools, basically from Europe,
Okay.
FSC certified, and with this one, in particular, it's mainly for planting the plants.
But it's very tiny, very small.
But yes, it's very small because of, for example, as you can see, with this terrarium that you have, some terrariums they have a very small
Holes.
opening. Yeah, opening.
And
So
holes.
you need something very small that could, that's very convenient and helpful to reach the soil. And,
So because of this kind of terrarium, like it will be in my right hand side.
Yes.
So for the viewers, it will be
Yes.
in the left handed. You need like small. Maybe there is
Yes.
smaller than this also.
yeah. They're smaller as well, because terrariums they come in all forms of sizes. You can have a terrarium that is very small, terrarium that is very big. So this is very handy because with a big terrarium you can just use this, and just depending on the size of it, you can always make it longer.
Longer.
Yes.
And better.
Yeah.
So this is what the first one, the other
Yes.
shelf. What about this one?
This is basically the same as well, and it helps with the plant as well. If you want to get rid of the plant or pulling up the plant, this one also helps. It's mainly also for the soil, basically. It helps with the brushing as well, and yeah, with the yes,
The
with the technical aspects of it.
That's why you are very patient, because it will take a long time if you want to do something.
Yes, it requires a lot of patience, but it's also therapeutic. When you're working with the tools, it's very therapeutic.
Therapeutic.
Yeah, very very relaxing.
So I want dear viewers, to know the phases. How
Yes.
can I create any terrarium from the scratch to make something like as a masterpiece?
Yes.
Can you tell us more?
Of course. So it depends on the terrarium that you want to build, obviously. With our terrariums, or with my experience, the terrariums that I usually build, obviously it depends on the plants that you want to use. If it's going to be an open terrarium, if it's going to be a closed terrarium. But usually you start with the first layer of rocks. And usually that layer is around 3 centimeters.
Okay.
And then we would put carbon for all the bad bacteria
okay.
and so on.
Even you're focusing about this.
Yes, because you want, at the end of the day, you want the terrarium to last a long time, and you don't want anything that can affect it.
Affected.
Yeah, and then you add a layer of soil as well, and the soil has to be like a good quality soil. And once you add the soil, you can then use your creativity on where you want to put the plants, what type of plants you want to use, and so on. And that's pretty much it. And then you can add the decorative elements, of course. And it all depends on your creativity. For example, if you want to build a terrarium that
Okay.
looks more of the desert kind of.
Okay.
You could use sand as well.
Okay,
as a
you can
layer.
put sand
Yes,
also.
as a layer instead of the rocks.
Okay.
And you could use different colors of sand, which
Okay.
a lot of people do, to create a very nice looking terrarium
yes.
from afar. And they would usually use cacti plants
Nice.
for a desert.
It will last
skin.
long time.
Yeah, it will last a long time, and it's an open terrarium, so it doesn't require a lot of humidity. And with plants that require humidity, it's usually it's better, just one note or point
yeah,
that I
sure,
want
sure.
to mention as well,
Yeah, sure.
to not put your terrariums under direct sunlight, as that
Sunlight.
can affect
This is your notification for everybody.
for
who wants to-
everyone. Just don't put it under direct sunlight. It is better always to put it in a place where there's a lot of light,
Okay.
but not in direct sunlight.
So what about the smell? Like I noticed, like I'm sitting here, I didn't smell anything.
Yeah. So because a lot of the terrariums that we build, they're closed terrariums, so
Okay.
it's you don't really smell it. But when you're building the terrarium,
Yes.
you could smell all the elements.
Yeah, that's why I'm
You know,
asking.
yeah, you could smell all the elements. You can smell the soil. You can smell even the rocks. They have a discrete kind of smell as well to it, and the plants, of course.
So if I have a terrarium, I took something from you. How can I take in good care of it so it will not be like ruined or something?
Yeah. So one thing that we always mention in our workshops is, so it's easy it's easy to have terrariums because
Okay.
they're low maintenance. They require low maintenance usually when it's done correctly. But always look for plants that are kind of affected or like
Okay.
kind of dying, because that could affect other plants.
Okay.
So when you see one, cut the petal or take.
You told them cut the petal.
Yeah,
With the
cut-
scissor direct.
Yeah, you could just peel it off, or cut, with the scissors as well, or using the tools you can lift it up and then pulling the parts that
The
are
parts, yeah.
affected. Yeah, and also just make sure the soil isn't dry. Make sure that the soil has enough water and the moisture level is good enough. Because if the soil is dried, that could obviously
Yes.
affect the plants.
Affect the
And
plants.
don't overwater.
Okay. This is always how many times water per week? Once, twice?
Actually, it doesn't require watering per week. Usually, obviously, it depends on the terrarium and the plants and the soil. However, it is usually for 3 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks. You just have to open it and just spray the water in the terrariums.
Amazing. And there is
Yes.
something else. Now we'll talk more about the workshops. You
Yeah.
mentioned workshops like we did one in our workshop with your brother
Yeah.
and people attending. Do you remember your first workshop you did it?
Well, yeah. Usually, it's my brother who's the one in charge of
Yes.
the workshops. But I recently, I was lucky enough to be part of a workshop that we recently did,
Okay.
and honestly, that was a really nice experience for me, because a lot of the people that were involved in the workshops, they've never created the terrariums before.
This is their first
The
time.
first time, and just seeing their reaction to it.
By the way,
Yeah.
did you remember like when you seeing your reaction, it reminds to you also?
Yeah, because it was like me with the story with my brother. Because when my brother was building his terrariums, I thought it was very complicated. And then once the people at the workshops who have never created the terrarium before, once they've done it, they realize how easy it is and how therapeutic it is as well. And a lot of the reactions that we got during our workshops are always positive.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, and it's just good vibes. Like during our workshop, we're always just we want people to enjoy it
And engage.
and I think with terrariums or with activities like this, it also makes people understand more of the things that could affect just nature in general.
Nature, yes.
Yeah, they have a deeper appreciation of just nature in general.
So you brought like some big tables and you brought some like this kind of tools,
Yes.
and the plants are on the other side, and
Yes.
they are just picking and they just put it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. We set up the jars, the terrarium jars, and we have the plant set and the tool set and the carbon set as well. And they do everything: the soil, the rocks.
Is it more costly or is just like in a good price?
It's
The tools.
So with the tools, we get them, like I said, from overseas, and it's not too costly. And with the plants, we get them locally, so it's not too costly. I would say it's because the craft is so beautiful. I would say it's the price comes always second for us. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So for this kind of tools and
Yeah.
this kind of like good things to do, you always escape from the reality. So terrarium escape. That's why we got the
Terrarium,
shortcut,
yes.
Terrascape.
Yes.
So this kind of tools always you have to be. It's like a therapy. So when they are coming to your exhibition,
Yeah.
like a client,
Yeah.
I want Khalid to do me like a terrarium and a design custom like I want. So how do you are dealing with them?
Yes.
What's the thing they are asking more? How do you are dealing with your
Yeah.
clients?
Usually we don't receive that kind of request.
Okay.
Because usually in our workshops we just leave it for the people to
People.
create their own designs, because at the end of the day, like it's hard to build something that you didn't think about. If that creativity didn't come from you, it's always hard to put the passion in the work unless you're really passionate about it through the creative kind of aspect of it, of what you're trying to build. And yeah, usually in our workshops we just keep it open for the public to, I mean, for the people, the participants, to
And
think
to think,
about,
yes.
yeah, and to build it themselves.
So what about the social media? I know too many terrarium people or people who have something, they are crafts people. Now social media is important to let your followers to see your work.
Yes.
So I know like most of the time you see your comments, you and your brother, about they are commenting about your work.
Yes.
Did you usually do something for your followers and you do something by your own? You just want to show your work and let them like decide?
Yes. So what we do is usually we create our own designs and we post it on our social media, and through our websites and so on. We basically provide the tools to
Okay.
build your own terrarium, and yeah, usually we try to make participants or people that decide on how to or like what to build with their terrarium.
So you remember the highest view picture ever on one of your artwork?
Oh,
Do you remember the name of
I'm
the
not
project?
sure, to be honest.
But how
I'll
do you
have to
see
look
the
back.
perspective, like the people, how they are engaging with the post? How does it feel to you?
Yeah, it feels good, because at the end of the day, if you're putting a lot of time in the artwork, and when you see the engagements and so on, it's a really nice feeling, because it's rewarding, and it's also what motivates us to keep on going as well.
So
Yeah.
Khaled, about this kind of amazing work, so what about next? What is your
Yeah.
future agenda?
So honestly, our goal with us is we want people to become more aware of eco friendliness and so on, and taking care of the environment more. And so right now we're thinking of basically providing people here in Kuwait with an opportunity for inside farming, for example, to create a greener Kuwait, kind of a place where it is easy for you to build to make your home more greener. And that's our next step. It's to kind of work on the idea of inside farming. And also we're looking more to contribute with the national environmental societies, to help clean some areas or the activities and so on. And I think that's because that's our goal. We have a clear direction on when to go next.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's why we are very proud of you and your
Thank you very much.
brothers, and
Thank
we
you.
consider you as a proud of Kuwait.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for great hospitality. We always say good times run very fast.
Yes.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. It's you being a very good host, asking me
Thank you.
it was very simple. So
You're,
thank you very much. Thank you.
you're most welcome. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us. So we are speaking to our guest, Khaled Al-Ataibi. He's a terrarium maker. He shared to everybody about his journey into the terrarium with his brother, hand by hand, to create these masterpieces. And he's sharing with us about his journey in Japan, how he already get inspired from different kind of country to make it here to create this kind of terrarium work. And at the end, he spoke about the tools and how to create any kind of terrarium. I hope you enjoyed our episode. See you next time and have a good day.